Fans of zombie movies are in for a treat. Today, I'm bringing you the latest zombie film released in 2025, 28 years later. After an 18-year wait, the sequel to 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later is finally here. Many of you may not have seen the first two films. So, before we dive into the main feature, I'll give you a quick rundown of the zombie lore and the basic plot. The first film, 28 Days Later, was released in 2002, directed by Danny Boyle. The original pathogen originated from a chimpanzee kept in a research facility. A few clueless animal rights activists snuck into the lab and set it free, unleashing an irreversible disaster. The virus is extremely contagious, spreading through blood and saliva, and the transformation happens in just a few seconds. So, in a mere 28 days, the zombie virus swept across the entire UK. And here's the lore for these zombies. They are extremely aggressive, and they can run very fast, but they are afraid of sunlight and can only be active in the dark. They also need to eat to replenish their energy. Otherwise, they eventually starve to death. For zombies that are essentially still carbon-based life forms, this is quite logical. This rule was especially prominent in the second film, 28 Weeks Later. After a long period without food, the zombies were all wiped out in just 28 weeks. The survivors enjoyed a brief period of peace. But that movie added a new element. Asymptomatic carriers. They look like normal people on the surface, but they carry the deadly virus. In the film, the protagonist's wife was an asymptomatic carrier. Just a single kiss between them became the catalyst for the second outbreak of the virus. The director of this sequel was Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. He further expanded the film's world. The number of zombies increased, and he added many large-scale scenes of humans fighting zombies. Additionally, the zombies had evolved. They were no longer afraid of sunlight, and some had even evolved a degree of intelligence. At the end of the film, the zombies broke out of the UK and spread across Europe. Now, for the film we're discussing today, 28 years later, the original director, Danny Boyle, has returned. To prevent the virus from spreading is his mother, who has been bedridden for a long time. Because medicine is scarce in the apocalypse, Jimmy believes he is ready. She sternly tells Spike. Jenny orders the others to open the gate. It is the only passage from the island to the mainland. You'll have to wait until the next morning. They can't venture too far to search. They encounter the easiest type of zombie to deal with. These zombies that crawl on the ground. They mostly wriggle on the ground because their fat is quite thick, with his father's constant encouragement, ready to make his first kill. But they don't know that. Spike didn't disappoint his father. At the same time, and see a herd of wild deer stampeding past. Even animals have begun to thrive. Just as they are about to head to the next location, a noise suddenly comes from a room inside. Spike, having grown up on the island, the corpse suddenly came to life. It seems those survivors deliberately hung it here. Seeing the infected, Jimmy takes the opportunity to tell Spike. This is also a form of training for him. You won't be able to survive in this apocalypse. But Spike hesitates. His kind heart couldn't bear to harm the pitiful infected before him. While he was hesitating, the struggling zombie suddenly fell.
My six, Spike! Fucking kill it!
They see a deer's head hanging from a tree. Jimmy immediately becomes tense. Because this is the work of a zombie, but an intelligent one called an alpha. They are more agile than regular zombies, and their bodies are stronger. Realizing this, Jimmy, right now, their only mission is to return to the island. But just as they emerge from the woods, they see a zombie under a large tree in the distance. The father sees it and warns his son not to move, thinking the zombie hasn't seen them. But then, more and more zombies appear, including a much larger one among them. And he is the alpha his father spoke of. The terrified father immediately grabs his son and runs. With a roar from the leading alpha, the father has to fight back while running with his son. The experienced Jimmy remains calm under pressure, drawing and shooting his bow in one fluid motion, killing one zombie after another. But Spike, in his panic, either misses badly or fails to hit the zombies' vital spots. Fortunately, there's a building ahead. Before the zombies catch up, they manage to climb into the attic and escape. The zombies patrol the house for a while, then leave after finding no targets. But the father and son don't dare make a move, and their arrows were all used up in the previous fight. What's worse, the tide has already started to come in. He asks his father if there are survivors over there. But Jimmy has never been that far. Seeing the dilapidated building about to collapse, the father has no choice but to wake his son and leave the attic. Just as they escape, the building behind them collapses with a roar. The loud noise will soon attract zombies. The two are forced to return to the shore. The tide is already rising. Seeing this, Jimmy immediately leads his son into the water and is charging towards them at an incredible speed.
Run!
Run, Spike.
Run!
Run. Go. Fucking go. But thankfully, the gate is just ahead. Hearing the sound, the guards immediately turn on the searchlight. But its defense is top tier. Even after taking several arrows, it's as ferocious as ever. Just as the father and son are about to be devoured, a massive rocket instantly pierces the alpha's chest, finally bringing it down hard. After confirming that neither of them shows signs of infection, Jenny finally opens the camp's gate. After enduring numerous hardships, they finally escape death. To celebrate the father and son's safe return, the camp holds a grand party for them. But, emboldened by alcohol, he starts to brag. He claims they faced a large group of zombies, without any fear. He also says his son performed brilliantly, facing bloodthirsty zombies for the first time with composure. After all, they had nearly lost their lives. His father is secretly on a date with another girl. Spike had always looked up to his father as a role model, but now that heroic image is the fire he saw on the mainland. To his surprise, his grandfather knows the origin of that fire. The man's name is Kelson, an eccentric doctor. Logically, his father should have known him too. Spike can't help but suspect he lied on purpose, so he wouldn't have to get treatment for his mother. If his mother died of illness, he could be with that young, beautiful girl forever. It wasn't until the next morning that his father returned home after a night of carousing. Spike finally couldn't hold back and confronted him. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Doctor? We don't have a doctor. There's not a doctor here, and there never will be." Dr. Kelson lit the fire. Jimmy guessed it was his father who told his son. That man is indeed a doctor. Often went to the mainland to search for supplies. When they reached Kelson's place, they could smell the scent of burning flesh from a distance. There were bodies everywhere at the time, and burning them one by one in a furnace. This strange behavior scared them, and they quickly fled. Since then, no one has dared to go to that place again. His father's story didn't dispel the son's doubts. That slap completely severed their father-son bond. From that moment on, Spike got the idea to take his mother alone, to find Kelson for treatment. That same day, during low tide, then he took the opportunity to bring his waiting mother, open the gate, and slip out quietly. Due to her illness, the mother was disoriented, and sometimes even experienced memory loss. She confusedly followed her son out of the camp. When she reached the shore and saw the endless mainland, the mother finally came to her senses, telling her son they couldn't leave the island. But the tide was already rising, and they couldn't go back. The mother, deeply moved, agreed. The mother and son then headed towards the doctor's location. The scenery along the way was indeed beautiful, and they were very lucky. They didn't encounter any zombies on their journey. However, the destination was quite far, and they definitely wouldn't make it before dark. So, upon passing a building, Spike decided they would rest there for the night. Soon, night fell. After his mother fell asleep, Spike sat by the door on guard. But he was just a child. Before he knew it, he had fallen asleep. Not long after he fell asleep, a low-level zombie appeared silently. It came right up to Spike, and he didn't notice a thing. In the nick of time, a cloth was suddenly thrown over the zombie's head. The next morning, when the mother and son woke up, they only saw a zombie's corpse lying nearby. Spike fearfully asked his mother what had happened. In fact, it was she who killed the zombie at the crucial moment, saving her son. But her memory had lapsed again, and she had completely forgotten what happened last night. Spike didn't have time to dwell on it. He quickly led his mother onward. Meanwhile, on another shore, a fully armed squad had landed in the UK, but their luck wasn't good. As soon as they landed, they were attacked by an alpha zombie. After a bloody chase, only one young soldier managed to escape. At the same time, the mother and son also encountered a zombie, but it was quickly killed by Spike with a single arrow, before they could catch their breath. Luckily, there was a gas station nearby, and the mother and son quickly hid inside. However, they never expected. It almost suffocated them on the spot. Before they could even block the door, the zombies rushed in after them. Now they not only had to face bloodthirsty zombies. At the critical moment, the fire instantly engulfed the zombies. The mother and son, lying on the ground, were unharmed. They quickly ran out, gasping for fresh air. The person who saved them, the soldier, told them the toxic gas was evaporated benzene. Over the years, it had accumulated to this state. Knowing the explosion would attract zombies, the three of them didn't dare to stay long. But the mother, having inhaled more benzene, suffered from mild poisoning and couldn't walk properly. The soldier had no choice but to carry her. Along the way, Spike learned from the soldier about life outside the quarantine zone. It turns out his name is Eric, and he's from a Swedish naval patrol unit. They were responsible for routine patrols of the quarantine zone to prevent the virus from spreading. Today, while on duty, although they didn't want to set foot in this dangerous area, the wind blew them ashore. Then they were attacked by zombies. The sole survivor, Eric, escaped to the gas station, where he coincidentally saved the mother and son. After hearing this, Spike explained his own mission. He pointed to the white smoke rising in the distance and told Eric that he was going there to find a doctor. After his mother was cured, he would return to the camp. With nowhere else to go, Eric had to go with them. Because once you enter the quarantine zone, there's no rescue. He could never go back. After a short rest, the mother was able to walk on her own. The three of them continued on their way. But as they walked, the mother suddenly heard something. Following the sound, she found an abandoned train. As soon as she entered the carriage, she heard faint groans. Thinking it was an injured survivor, she got closer only to find it was a zombie giving birth. The two who followed were also stunned by the scene. As if possessed, she reached out her hands, preparing to help the zombie give birth. Strangely, the zombie didn't attack. It cooperated, grabbing her hands, and successfully delivered a baby. And this baby seemed to be uninfected by the virus. Could it be that after such a long evolution, even the virus inside their bodies has disappeared? But then the zombies suddenly went berserk, about to pounce on the mother and son. Thankfully, Eric reacted quickly and killed it immediately. Then he aimed his gun at Spike's mother, warning her to put down the baby immediately, because in his eyes, even a normal-looking baby could carry the virus. He wasn't willing to take the risk. Put it on the fucking ground. She doesn't look infected. She's not infected. Seeing the mother and son's stubbornness, Eric gave a final ultimatum. However, in the next second, unexpectedly, it was an alpha zombie, holding Eric's head in its hand. The mother and son fled in terror. Spike quickly provided cover with his bow. Upon seeing the zombie corpse in the carriage, the alpha became even more frenzied. It seems he was the baby's father, but Spike's arrows had no effect on him. Just as they were about to be caught, at the critical moment, an old man suddenly appeared. One tranquilizer dart stopped the alpha in its tracks. It turns out, the old man was the Dr. Kelson they had been searching for. His dart contained a sedative, temporarily immobilizing the alpha, and his body was covered in iodine. The virus doesn't like this stuff, so it also helped him, to some extent, avoid being attacked by zombies. This is how he managed to survive for so long. On the zombie-infested mainland, after taking the head from the alpha's hand, Kelson led the mother and son to his camp. The two were instantly stunned by the sight before them. Countless pillars made of human skeletons came into view. The central tower was built entirely of skulls, and this was Kelson's masterpiece of 28 years. It turns out his purpose in collecting and burning bodies was simply his own way of laying to rest those who died in the disaster. His mental state was always fine. He wasn't the madman people claimed he was. Then, Kelson, in the same manner, tossed Eric's head into the furnace. A short while later, a clean skull appeared before Spike. Although they had their conflicts in the end, Eric had been their savior, so Spike carefully placed Eric's skull on the tower as well. That night, Kelson finally began to examine Spike's mother. The diagnosis was cancer, and it was already in the final stages. It's an incurable disease even with modern technology, let alone in a zombie-infested apocalypse. The mother seemed to have guessed her fate. She knew her body better than anyone. Spike was undoubtedly the most heartbroken. He had always believed that once he found the doctor, his mother's illness could be cured. But in the end, this was the result. Thinking of the arduous journey they had undertaken to get here, Spike found it even harder to accept. Seeing her child's breakdown, the mother could only go and hold him, comforting him endlessly. But secretly, she nodded at Kelson. Kelson understood. He took a tranquilizer dart and shot Spike with it. In a short while, Spike fell unconscious, perhaps not wanting her son to worry about her anymore, or perhaps not wanting to endure the pain of her illness any longer. The mother decided to say goodbye to her son here. She asked Kelson to give her a quick end. When Spike woke up from his unconscious state, his mother had become a bright, clean skull. At Kelson's signal, Spike, with tears in his eyes, took the skull and climbed to the top of the tower, placing his mother there. By now, it was broad daylight. The sun slowly rose from the horizon. Spike looked out and saw the relentless alpha. The sedative had worn off. They quickly found a place to hide, but the alpha still found them. It burst through the floor and grabbed Kelson, just as Kelson's head was about to be twisted off. At the crucial moment, Spike took a tranquilizer dart from his bag and stabbed it hard into the alpha's arm. Soon, the sedative took effect, and the alpha fell unconscious again. After the crisis was averted, it was time for Spike to leave. But he only took the baby back to the camp. After leaving a letter explaining the situation, he left again. He wanted to continue exploring this unknown continent, to escape the enclosed island, and live his own life. After all he had been through, Spike had become the man his father spoke of. A true man who could stand on his own 2 feet. He was no longer afraid to face zombies, taking one down with a single crossbow bolt. Just then, a man suddenly appeared above him, praising Spike for a job well done. He pointed ahead. More zombies were appearing. Then, a few more survivors appeared. They were dressed strangely, completely out of place in this world. Their combat skills were off the charts. They took care of all the zombies in no time. After it was done, the man invited Spike to join his group. Spike hadn't expected that on the mainland, there were so many humans surviving in the cracks. So, he didn't hesitate to join them. And the movie ends right there. This film was released in North America this June, with a budget of $75 million. It grossed $100 million at the box office. Both its production cost and box office revenue are far higher than the first 2 films. However, for such a long-awaited classic IP, it felt somewhat disappointing after watching it. First, the background setting of the story is absolutely fine. It has many similarities to Attack on Titan. The first half, where the father and son venture into the Forbidden Land to hunt, is very exciting. But after returning to the camp, the plot veers off in a ridiculous direction. The father's character is ruined. The mother delivers a zombie baby. The alpha gets stunned and doesn't finish the job. And the mother gets cremated on the spot instead of treated. These are a few points I found illogical. The punk-style survivors who appear at the end feel completely disconnected from the rest of the movie. Also, the movie is quite graphic. Whenever zombies appear on screen, it would be impossible to pass censorship without blurring. However, it's worth noting that the entire film was shot on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. While shooting movies on a phone is nothing new these days, the director, to achieve the ultimate effect, used up to 20 iPhones simultaneously to shoot a single scene, which is a breakthrough of sorts. And compared to the zombies in the first two films, the zombies in this film are like a whole new species. The reason the zombies didn't starve to death like before is because they learned to hunt other animals. After 28 years of evolution, they have gradually formed a special group that works as a team, has a hierarchy, and can even reproduce. And the zombie baby born from the alpha doesn't carry the zombie virus. Does this mean that after coming full circle, the zombies have evolved back into humans? Could they be the key to humanity overcoming the virus? Of course, we can't rule out the possibility that the baby is an asymptomatic carrier. After all, there's a precedent for that in the second film. And what happens next will only be revealed in the next installment. The director will make 2 more films based on this one. And the release date for the next one is already confirmed. It will be released next January. At that time, the star of 28 Days Later, Cillian Murphy, will return. Just for this man alone, we have to be incredibly excited.